Chapter 1, I'm dying. My brother Kyle darn died, and I guess that's how everything started. Maximus's thoughts echoed painfully through his mind as a sharp, burning sensation shot down his leg. His body grew colder by the second, and darkness engulfed his vision completely. The only sound that reached his ears was a slow, dragging noise scraping across the ground. Correction, Maximus knew exactly what that sound was. It was his own body being dragged across the floor, tightly sealed in a heavy, suffocating black bag, arms and legs tied securely. Even if he had the strength to move, he was utterly helpless. His silly talent, expertly using chopsticks at dinner, was now officially over. Not that it was ever impressive. After all, billions of people did it daily, yet somehow it always managed to surprise someone. In these fleeting moments, his entire life flashed vividly through his mind, memories streaming in relentlessly. Bad luck had followed me since Kyle died. My father passed away on the exact same day, racing desperately to the hospital, only to lose his life in a tragic car accident. Mom couldn't endure the unbearable pain of losing two people she loved deeply, leaving behind the only one who was still breathing, me. Yet, despite these crushing losses, Maximus refused to let his troubled past dictate his future. If anything, it was precisely these losses that had shaped him into the person he became. From that day onward, he decided the world would no longer simply take from him. He would take whatever he wanted in return, no matter the method. Theft, deception, violence, blackmail, his moral compass disappeared quickly, replaced by fierce determination. Soon, others who felt similarly abandoned or angry flocked to him, ultimately creating the notorious White Tiger Gang. What an embarrassing name, now that I think about it. The memory made him cringe inwardly. They called me the White Tiger just because I liked wearing white clothes, or maybe it was because of my part Asian heritage. Either way, I foolishly went along with it. If he could move, Maximus would have slapped himself right then. Usually, embarrassing memories haunted people about high school or awkward teenage years, but he had plenty that followed him into adulthood. Even today, he'd put on his lucky red underwear, yet clearly, luck wasn't on his side. Pain intensified with every passing moment, a grim reminder of multiple stab wounds covering his body. He'd lost count after a dozen. "All right, drop him here. Then leave us. I want a word with him alone," ordered a muffled voice from above. Footsteps echoed away before a zipper sound sliced through the silence. Suddenly, Maximus squinted, desperately trying to see through his blurry vision as the bag opened. Blood and dizziness made it nearly impossible, but he could just barely make out a figure standing above him, face hidden beneath a balaclava. "Could have been kidnapped by Harry Potter for all I know," Maximus murmured weakly, his mind drifting in and out of lucidity. Harry Potter, now that's a frightening thought. How would I even beat him? A headbutt, maybe a quick kick between his legs. I'd like to see him spell his way out of that one. Still cracking jokes, even now? The masked figure chuckled darkly, grabbing a fistful of Maximus's black hair and forcing his head upward roughly. "I still can't believe someone like you led the White Tiger Gang. Clawing your way up from nothing, turning yourself into someone people feared. What a pathetic joke." Maximus strained harder, fighting desperately against the blur, desperately wanting to see clearly, but his eyes failed him miserably. "My eyes are worthless." Is his voice disguised, or am I just imagining it? You had to have known this day was coming. I'm honored I get to be the one to finish off the great Maximus Darn. The man pulled off his hood dramatically, but the blood dripping into Maximus's eyes completely blocked any chance of recognition. "I want you to see the face of your executioner. You always said nobody could own you. But you were wrong. Gangs don't rule this city, money does." The man released his grip on Maximus's hair and delivered a brutal kick, sending him toppling backward. A frigid rush of water flooded his mouth, and Maximus sank rapidly, the faint light above quickly disappearing into endless darkness. Am I drowning? Is this really how my life ends? Without even knowing who killed me or why? Money rules? Was my death purchased by someone? Anger ignited inside him, bitterly clear now. Those words, "No one owns me." Only someone very close to me knew that phrase. Was someone from my own gang behind this? Was I betrayed? Haven't I suffered enough? Whoever is up there listening, whoever controls this cruel world, don't you owe me this much, a chance to know who did this to me? His furious thoughts gradually dimmed, fading into nothingness alongside his anger. That moment marked the definitive end of Maximus Darn, infamous leader of the White Tiger Gang. The peace that followed was shockingly brief. A blinding pain exploded inside Maximus's skull, far worse than any stab wound he'd endured. His energy drained away, replaced entirely by overwhelming agony. freewebnovel.com. Is this punishment for cursing whoever controls fate? But wait, if I feel pain, does that mean I'm still alive? Maximus struggled desperately, trying to move even a finger or open his eyes, but couldn't determine if he succeeded. We have a response. Quickly, alert medical staff immediately. He's reacting. Voices urgently surrounded him. A steady beeping sound beside him became clearer, louder now. He was sure he knew exactly where he must be. A deeper, sharper voice barked orders, authoritative and demanding. You will do everything in your power to save Max Stern. Cost is irrelevant. The Stern family will pay whatever it takes. Fail, and none of you should bother returning tomorrow. Who is this arrogant jerk with the bossy attitude? Maximus thought bitterly. But realization suddenly hit him hard. The voice was talking about him. And the name wasn't Maximus Darn anymore. It was Max Stern. No, this can't be true. The Stern family? One of the wealthiest families in the entire country? 2. The richest family. If Maximus and his family had been cursed with endless misfortune, the Stern family stood on the opposite end of the spectrum, blessed with an almost absurd amount of luck. Their legacy stretched back generations, rooted deeply in the history of a particular piece of land they had owned, a modest property that just happened to include a natural spring. Decades earlier, they'd sold the land and its precious spring to a company, securing not only a massive upfront sum but lifelong royalties from every bottle of water sold. The Stern Spring Water brand quickly became a household name nationwide, a condition carefully written into their lucrative deal. But even this monumental success was merely the foundation of their fortune. Leveraging the incredible wealth from the spring, the Sterns dove headfirst into the tech world, becoming angel investors in promising startups. Almost every venture they touched flourished, multiplying their wealth exponentially and continuously. Soon, the Stern family founded their own venture capital firm, dedicated entirely to identifying and supporting startups with the potential for immense growth. Their investments seemed infallible, and their fortune ballooned dramatically year after year. Eventually, their influence spread far beyond technology. They invested in gaming companies, hospitals, pharmaceuticals, life insurance firms, entertainment industries. Anywhere there was significant money to be made, the Sterns had a stake. Now, the Stern family wasn't just one of the richest families in the nation. They were arguably among the most powerful, wielding influence in nearly every profitable industry imaginable. Their empire spanned the globe, influencing markets, politics, and even public opinion. Maximus's mind was spinning as he lay silently in his hospital bed. It can't be. Not that Stern family. Stern is a common name, right? He thought desperately, attempting to reassure himself. He'd been awake for hours now, yet he hadn't dared open his eyes fully. Although his fingers twitched with newfound strength, and he felt sure he could open his eyes at any moment, the unfamiliar voices referring to him as Max Stern had left him anxious. So instead, he waited patiently until silence filled the room. Once the voices finally vanished, he cautiously opened one eye, glancing around the room. Crisp white walls surrounded him, with intricate, artistic wave-like patterns decorating them. Even the food trays nearby were meticulously arranged, resembling dishes from a Michelin-starred restaurant. Seriously, do people think fancy rooms heal better? The things rich people waste money on, Maximus scoffed silently. Summoning his strength, he swung his legs off the bed, his muscles weak and trembling beneath him as he stood. Despite his frail state, he had urgent business to handle. Fortunately, the luxurious hospital room included a private bathroom, exactly where he needed to go first. He stepped inside, sighing with relief as he finally emptied his bladder. Ah, he exhaled softly. I'm convinced there's nothing better in the world than this. After finishing, he quickly moved on to his next critical task. He stepped toward the mirror, nervously examining his reflection. His fingers reached out, tugging gently at his own cheek, confirming what he'd feared most. This is real. This is absolutely, undeniably real. I'm in someone else's body. Every doubt vanished instantly, leaving him stunned and confused. Judging by the lingering pain, this was certainly no dream. How did this even happen? Did some mystical force grant my wish? Was there some magic genie hiding in that lake? The idea of reincarnation flickered through his mind. It was a concept vaguely familiar from his mother's side of the family. Usually reincarnation meant returning as another creature or starting anew without memories. But Maximus remembered everything vividly, especially the brutal betrayal that had ended his previous life. Now, staring back at him from the mirror was the unfamiliar face of a teenager, around 18 years old. The boy had striking features, a sharp jawline, high cheekbones, and a well-proportioned nose, neither too prominent nor too subtle. Despite his confusion, Maximus found himself impressed by his new appearance. But there were drawbacks. The body was slender, far too slender. It looked like it weighed barely 65 kilos despite being around 6 feet tall. Practically skin and bones, he thought critically. His hair, too, puzzled him. It was thick and silky, reaching just down to his eyebrows, but styled awkwardly in a bowl cut. Maximus preferred a more mature style, swept back neatly with a fringe framing his face. But what bothered him most was its color, vibrantly red. "Why is this kid's hair bright red of all colors?" he muttered in disbelief. "Could this be related to my lucky red underwear? Is that why I survived and ended up in this body?" He shook his head immediately, dismissing such absurd thoughts, yet couldn't deny the strangeness of his entire situation. As he studied himself further, he noticed something alarming. Gently pulling open his white hospital robe, Maximus saw a collection of dark bruises scattered across his torso. Gingerly, he pressed one, flinching sharply. "Ah, damn, that hurts," he hissed. The bruises varied in size and color, evidence of repeated and deliberate harm. Someone had clearly taken care to avoid visible areas like his face or forearms, hiding the abuse beneath his clothes. "Everyone has their own problems," Maximus murmured, determinately pushing aside these disturbing revelations. "I need to focus on figuring out what's happening here." Resolutely, he approached the door, opening it only to freeze instantly. Standing directly outside was a sharply dressed man in an immaculate black suit, his dark hair neatly parted, styled impeccably. He adjusted his thin glasses, scrutinizing Maximus carefully. "So," the man spoke calmly, his tone composed yet faintly intimidating, "it seems you've been pretending to sleep until everyone left." Caught entirely off guard, Maximus hesitated. He'd planned to learn more about himself discreetly, needing to understand the date, his surroundings, and his identity first. Yet now, he faced someone who clearly knew him intimately. Maximus stammered, his mind racing for an excuse. The truth is, I have amnesia." The man's eyebrow rose skeptically. "Amnesia?" he repeated, sounding unimpressed. Maximus nodded rapidly, sticking with his hastily chosen explanation. "Yes, amnesia. Honestly, I'm terrified. I don't know who I am, or what's happened to me. I don't even know who you are." The man sighed deeply, adjusting his glasses in frustration. "This could be troublesome if you're telling the truth," he admitted reluctantly. "Very troublesome indeed." With measured composure, he introduced himself formally. "My name is Aaron Hart," he explained calmly, pointing to himself. "I've served as your personal guard for several years, always by your side when needed." "A personal guard?" Maximus's confusion deepened. "Why would someone need a personal bodyguard?" "I suppose if you truly have lost your memory," Aaron continued, apparently sensing Maximus's thoughts, "you must be wondering why someone like you needs protection." Maximus nodded cautiously, desperate for answers yet careful not to betray his ignorance too openly. "Because," Aaron explained slowly and clearly, "you are Max Stern, the youngest heir of the Stern family." Chapter 3: Old Traits Don't Disappear. Aaron patiently began to delve into all the finer details, carefully explaining everything to Maximus. He clarified that Maximus, or rather, Max Stern, was a 17-year-old student in his final year of high school. However, Max wasn't anything like your average high school senior. Aaron emphasized that Max was the youngest heir to the influential Stern family, meticulously detailing their immense wealth, extensive businesses, and far-reaching power. Strangely enough, Aaron even went as far as listing Max's relatives, as if this were critical information to grasp immediately. "You have 2 uncles, each with their own children," Aaron explained methodically, his voice steady and calm. "You also have 2 aunts, both of whom are married, each with a sibling who is older than you, placing you squarely as the youngest heir." Max listened intently, absorbing each detail. Aaron's voice softened slightly as he addressed a more sensitive subject, Max's parents. "Unfortunately, your parents passed away in a car accident while you were attending school," Aaron explained gently. "Since then, I've been your legal guardian, responsible for your safety and well-being." Maximus blinked in surprise. Aaron appeared only a few years older than him, yet he was entrusted with guardianship? Max's confusion was evident. "I realize this is a significant shock," Aaron continued, unfazed by Max's obvious bewilderment. "There's a great deal to catch up on, so I'll remain close by, filling you in as thoroughly as possible." Aaron smoothly reached into his jacket pocket and handed Max a large, state-of-the-art smartphone. Max immediately recognized the latest model, identical to the one he'd owned in his previous life. The familiarity gave him a strange sense of comfort. "This confirms that I'm living in roughly the same time period," Max deduced silently. Turning on the phone, facial recognition immediately unlocked the device, confirming it had only been 3 days since he'd been betrayed and nearly killed. "Do you always carry phones with my Face ID ready to go?" Max asked skeptically. In response, Aaron casually produced 2 more identical smartphones from his pockets, both pristine and fully functional. "Young master," Aaron explained evenly, "this isn't the first time you've lost or damaged a phone. I always keep extras on hand. Each device has my contact pre-programmed, ensuring you can reach me at a moment's notice. Whatever you need or wish, I'll strive to fulfill." An amused smile spread across Max's face as an idea formed. "Anything? So, if I asked for a red carpet to greet me outside and a new Lamborghini ready for my exit from this hospital, you'd make it happen?" Aaron, without hesitation, retrieved another phone, this one distinctively red, and began dialing. "I have a request from the young master." "Wait," Max interrupted in panic. "What exactly are you doing?" "He wants a red carpet rolled out and the latest Lamborghini waiting outside." Aaron continued calmly into the phone. "Yes, it's an unusual request. He's woken up with a curious case of young master syndrome. Indeed, quite troubling, but we must oblige." "Cancel the order," Max shouted frantically. Aaron glanced at Max, raising an eyebrow subtly. "Cancel the order," he instructed into the phone before pocketing it neatly. "As I said," Aaron reaffirmed, "I'll fulfill any request within reason. But understand I'll openly judge your choices." "Noted," Maximus replied dryly, shaking his head. The bizarre loyalty from Aaron was unlike anything he'd ever encountered, even within his former gang. Their conversation was interrupted by a knock at the door. "Come in," Aaron called. A doctor entered swiftly, clipboard in hand. "Sir Aaron, please sign some paperwork before Master Stern can be discharged. Follow me briefly, please." As Aaron followed the doctor out, Max was once again left alone with his swirling thoughts. "This is real. I'm actually in a new body, and not just anyone's body, but a Stern family heir. Maybe my lifetime of struggle paid off after all." Driven by disbelief once more, he hurried to the bathroom mirror, closely examining his new face again. Seeing a stranger staring back was still unsettling, yet undeniably thrilling. With this power and influence, finding out who betrayed me from the White Tigers will be easy. I'll uncover every detail and ensure they pay dearly. A dark, satisfied smile crept onto his face. Noticing the unsettling expression in the mirror, Max quickly relaxed his cheeks, attempting a more natural look. "With a new life, I should fully embrace a new identity," he declared aloud. "From now on, I'm Max Stern, not Maximus." Studying his reflection closely, Max suddenly glimpsed movement in the mirror's corner. Instinctively, he dodged as a hand lunged toward him, missing by mere inches. Heart racing, Max rushed out of the bathroom into the larger hospital room, spinning quickly to face his attacker. A man dressed in all-black clothing, a surgical mask hiding his face, stood menacingly where Max had been moments earlier. "Who sent this guy? Which gang is after me?" Max thought in confusion before reminding himself sharply, "Wait, I'm in a new body. Why would any gangs target me now?" "Come on, kid." The masked attacker sneered arrogantly, lunging forward with reckless punches. Max easily sidestepped each wild swing, frustration clear on his face. "Who taught you how to fight?" Max taunted, before stepping in swiftly, delivering a firm punch directly to the attacker's face. The man staggered backward, stunned but not down. Max winced, shaking his reddening knuckles. Asterisk damn, that hurt. In my old body, this would have been nothing. Asterisk. "You worthless brat!" The attacker spat venomously, pulling out a pocket knife. "I didn't want to escalate, but you forced me. Start begging for your life now." Instead of fear, Max felt anger surging. Slowly lifting his head, he locked eyes fiercely with the attacker, whose confidence wavered. "You said this was an easy job," Max said, his voice calm but deadly. "You have no idea who you just threatened with that knife." As Max advanced, the man instinctively retreated, suddenly unsure why fear gripped him so tightly, sweat trickling down his face. Drawing a blade isn't a joke, Max continued coldly. Just remember, you made this serious first. Chapter 4. What did you do? Freebnull.com. Slowly, Max lifted both hands up protectively in front of his face, lowering his stance and slightly bending his knees. His earlier cockiness vanished, replaced by focused intensity. He was no longer taunting or smiling. Now he was completely serious. The attacker hesitated, suddenly uncertain, thrown off by Max's abrupt change in demeanor. "You're just a kid," the attacker shouted desperately, lunging forward with the knife extended. But as the man closed the distance, Max swiftly moved forward with calculated precision, completely unafraid of the blade. Just as the attacker thrust the knife, Max skillfully deflected his wrist upward, narrowly avoiding the sharp edge. With impressive agility, Max locked onto the attacker's arm, gripping tightly at the elbow and twisting inward forcefully. His other fist rapidly collided with the man's face once, then again, in a relentless assault. Punch after punch connected sharply, weakening the man's grasp until the knife clattered onto the hospital floor. Max delivered one final devastating strike, sending the attacker sprawling backward into the wall. The man slumped to the floor, legs sprawled awkwardly, groaning softly. It hurts," the attacker muttered weakly, barely conscious. Max bent down and calmly retrieved the knife, stepping toward the fallen man. "When you threaten people with weapons, you should expect them to be used against you," he warned coldly. Max grabbed the attacker by the shirt, attempting to lift him, but quickly realizing the body's limited strength. His younger, weaker form couldn't handle the weight, causing frustration to flash across his face. Please," the attacker whimpered, barely audible. "I wonder how many times you've ignored someone else saying those exact words," Max said grimly. The door slid open suddenly, catching Max by surprise. He glanced over quickly, meeting Aaron's wide, startled eyes. Aaron, normally composed, stood frozen in shock at the chaotic scene before him. Swiftly, Aaron collected himself and closed the door firmly behind him. "Young master, what are you doing?" Aaron demanded, voice strained. "Damn, I nearly forgot," Max thought guiltily. "I can't afford to lose control and ruin this new life." Quickly, he released the attacker and dropped the knife, raising his hands innocently. "I was only defending myself," Max explained hurriedly. "I have no idea who this guy is. He attacked me first." Aaron took a moment, processing the situation. "Go to the room next door. It's empty," he instructed calmly. "I'll arrange someone to bring you proper clothes. You're discharged and free to leave. I'll handle this matter personally and find out exactly what's happening here." Reluctantly, Max obeyed, trusting Aaron's judgment for now. As soon as he left, Aaron swiftly took out his phone, dialing urgently. "Right, I need someone to investigate immediately." "Thank you," he ordered sharply. After ending the call, Aaron approached the attacker, carefully inspecting him. A knife, this wasn't a random incident. Someone specifically targeted the young master, he muttered darkly. Who would be bold enough to attack a member of the Stern family openly? Someone clearly hired this fool. Aaron's inspection revealed more. He noticed the attacker's elbow was severely injured, possibly broken. This wasn't the work of an amateur, which puzzled Aaron deeply. As head of Max's personal security detail, he understood threats intimately. But how could Max Stern, who had no formal combat training, inflict such precise damage? In the adjoining room, Max was met by two silent men in sharp suits who handed him fresh clothing, a perfectly tailored suit. They departed without a word, leaving Max alone. He dressed quickly, feeling familiar comfort in the sharp attire, similar to what he wore in his past life. "I bet this kid has 100 of these suits, just like his endless phones," Max muttered, flexing his hand, which now throbbed painfully. His knuckles were swollen, possibly fractured. Lesson learned, I can't fight recklessly with this weaker body. To face the white tigers again, I'll have to regain my strength first, Max said determinedly, glancing at his unimpressive muscles. But more importantly, who is behind these attacks? Even Aaron seems unaware. There's clearly something deeper at play. The door slid open, interrupting his thoughts. Aaron entered, pushing his glasses back up the bridge of his nose and carefully observing Max. "You finally look presentable," Aaron commented dryly. "Considering someone just tried to kill me, maybe appearance isn't the priority," Max retorted sarcastically. "Did you find anything about my attacker?" "Our private security team is investigating," Aaron assured him. They're highly trained professionals employed directly by the Stern family. Well, clearly they failed, Max countered bluntly. Maybe it's time to hire better security. Unexpectedly, Aaron bowed deeply, nearly 90 degrees. I sincerely apologize, he said solemnly. The responsibility for your safety ultimately lies with me. The Stern family employs several private security teams, each serving different heirs. I personally oversee the 9th security team, your team. This failure is mine alone. Max felt an odd pang of guilt. Aaron took his duties seriously, more seriously than Max had initially realized. It's not entirely your fault, Max conceded softly, uncomfortable with the genuine remorse Aaron displayed. Once we have more information, I'll inform you immediately if relevant, Aaron continued, straightening up again. But before any of that, there's another important matter. There's a Stern family gathering tonight, and your attendance is expected. Max's heart sank instantly. Attending such an event without proper knowledge of family dynamics was risky, especially when he needed to conceal his amnesia. It's crucial we keep your memory loss confidential, Aaron emphasized gravely. The other family members would undoubtedly exploit any perceived weakness. One more important detail. The atmosphere in the room shifted abruptly, heavy with tension. Max felt almost suffocated by the weight of Aaron's words. When interacting with your relatives tonight, Aaron cautioned seriously, ensure I'm always by your side. Strangely, Aaron's intense protective instinct brought a slight smile to Max's face. It was an unfamiliar feeling to have someone genuinely looking out for him. Understood, Max agreed seriously. I'll heed your warning. But first, how about we get me a proper haircut? After all, first impressions matter, don't they? Chapter 5, Meeting the Stern Family. Aaron continued glancing repeatedly into his rearview mirror as he drove, still unable to fully believe how drastically a simple haircut could change someone's appearance. Max's hair was now neatly styled, significantly shorter on the sides and layered stylishly on top, giving him a refined and sophisticated look. A few carefully applied products ensured it wasn't as straight and dull as before. It was similar to his previous look, but was more vibrant as his hair wasn't thinning, nor was it graying like before. He was starting to see a lot more upsides to this body than downsides. Have you finished reviewing all the documents I gave you? Aaron asked, breaking the silence. Yes, I think so, Max replied, eyeing the thick stack of papers resting in his lap. The sheer volume of information was overwhelming. He wondered when Aaron had found the time to compile such detailed profiles. Or like with everything else, was it just something he carried around him everywhere he went? He started to wonder what else he might be able to ask for, and if Aaron could produce it on the spot. All right, Aaron began calmly. We have some time before arriving, so let's review. First, your 2 uncles. Max flipped through the documents, refreshing his memory. Aaron had given him extensive profiles of all the key family members he needed to watch carefully. Dave Stern, Max began, the second eldest. He primarily manages a chain of all-you-can-eat buffets. Judging by his profile photo, he's definitely enjoying his own product too much. Max smirked briefly. He also invests heavily in restaurant businesses. His wife is mostly behind the scenes, apparently quiet and reserved. It seems she's good at managing things quietly without attracting much attention. Max continued with confidence. Then there's Randy Stern. He handles multiple financial institutions, mostly providing capital for real estate developments. He has 1 son, another heir. Max paused, recognizing the name from his previous life, recalling past indirect encounters within the underground business world. Randy Stern was far from innocent. His hands were clearly dirty, deeply entangled in shady deals and questionable transactions that few knew about. His son, Danto, attends university and is the captain of the soccer team. Athletic, charismatic, and popular, Max summarized smoothly. He appears like the kind of guy who effortlessly attracts attention and respect, possibly making him a significant figure among his peers. Aaron listened intently, visibly impressed by Max's quick absorption of the information. All right, continue with the rest. One of my aunts, Masha Stern, Max explained thoughtfully, is quiet and reserved, wears glasses, has long hair, and heads the HR department at Stern headquarters. Clearly, she holds considerable trust and influence within the family. He glanced up at Aaron, adding mischievously, but her judgment in partners is questionable. She's been divorced 3 times. That might indicate some personal instability or poor judgment in relationships. Aaron sighed in mild exasperation. Important details, please. No need for unnecessary commentary. You don't think someone being divorced 3 times is significant? I pity the woman you end up with, Max retorted playfully. Aaron rolled his eyes, sighing again. Sometimes I worry the hospital discharged you prematurely. Max scowled at Aaron's sharp retort, realizing Aaron's sarcastic remarks somehow managed to sting more deeply than insults he'd faced from his former gang members. He quickly regained his composure, unwilling to let Aaron's words get under his skin. Next is Aunt Karen Stern, Max said, refocusing. Clearly a fan of cosmetic enhancements, especially lip fillers. Honestly, what's wrong with people's taste nowadays? She's obviously someone concerned heavily with appearances and status symbols. Aaron cleared his throat pointedly, guiding Max back to the subject. Right, Karen Stern, the oldest heir, Max continued seriously, noting Aaron's annotations. She operates a major department store in the city center. You've placed a star next to her name. Care to guess why? Aaron prompted. As the oldest heir, she holds substantial influence, Max answered confidently. She's probably the frontrunner for succession, making her particularly dangerous. Her position and influence are strong, and she likely has allies who support her ambitions. Aaron was impressed by Max's astute observations, though he kept his thoughts hidden, merely nodding subtly in approval. Then the younger generation, Max went on. Karen's son, Chad Stern, currently listed as an entrepreneur, though suspiciously lacking specifics, likely unemployed. Minor acting gigs are noted, undoubtedly leveraging his family name. Blonde hair, sunglasses indoors, he fits every cliché perfectly. He seems like the type who relies heavily on family influence rather than genuine skill or effort. Aaron remained silent, indirectly confirming Max's assumptions. Then there's Karen's daughter, Bobo Stern. Highly intelligent, studied at prestigious universities, and currently excelling in biotech research. At least one of them has real talent, Max noted approvingly, recognizing her potential. Lastly, we have Cece Stern, Max continued thoughtfully. Nothing remarkable. She holds a marketing job at a company not affiliated with the Sterns. As the second youngest, she doesn't seem threatening compared to the others. Probably someone who prefers living outside the family shadow, choosing independence over influence. After reviewing all 8 family members, Max decisively closed the hefty packet of papers, placing it firmly on his lap. There you go, Max declared confidently. All reviewed and memorized. This family is certainly filled with interesting characters, each with their strengths, weaknesses, and ambitions. Need I remind you? Aaron asked seriously, steering the car carefully. Ahead, an imposing 6-meter-high gate loomed, marking the entrance to their destination. Beyond, Max saw expansive, immaculately landscaped gardens, meticulously trimmed hedges, vibrant flower beds, and a majestic water feature gracefully spanning the front grounds. Every element screamed wealth and meticulous attention to detail. Then came the main residence, a sprawling mansion straight from a fairy tale. Its grandeur suggested it could comfortably host tens of thousands of guests, a residence fit for royalty. This breathtaking estate belonged to the Stern family, a tangible symbol of their extraordinary power and influence. Need I remind you? Aaron repeated firmly as they approached the mansion. You are also a Stern,